What's going on, guys? This is the Tenicor Velo Lux. I just wanted to do a quick review on this holster just because I have not seen many videos on it, kind of giving an in-depth look at it. I've seen a couple videos of people just kind of showing it real quickly, but not really talking about the features that much. Before we continue, let me just show everyone. Empty mag, gun is clear. I don't know if you can see that, but there is no round in the chamber. So first things first, let me put this away. So I just got this holster in the mail today. I've already worn it once outside, and it is a massive improvement to my last holster. So I had a T-Rex Arms Raptor 2.0 before this one, and I ended up getting rid of it because it just wasn't comfortable. Not to say that's not a good holster. It was definitely made well. The quality was good. It was partly not too comfortable because of my own fault. So I previously had a TLR1 HLX on my Glock 45, and I initially thought that the extra width and length was going to be fine for appendix carry. However, the problem with that is the width of those full-size lights is quite a bit bigger than these smaller ones. So the light would actually bulge out a bit here, and it would extend out to about here as well. And the problem with that is that bulge on the light, there was a little bulge on the holster right there as well. And everyone knows when you're appendix carrying, you want a holster that pushes the gun into your body, tilts the handle in, and tilts this way. And that motion, what that did was put all the pressure on the bulge of that light there. So it created this hot spot kind of pushing into my pelvic bone all day. And it just wasn't that comfortable. I ended up getting I believe it was a Vetter Holsters wedge that you can just kind of get like a Velcro pad and stick it on. And that helped a bit, but I just felt like the dynamics of the holster wasn't really modeled for the human body as well as something like the Tenicor Velo Lux. So for those of you that don't know, this holster has a built-in wedge. So I've heard a lot of people love it, a lot of people hate it. It's kind of just depends on your body type. I'd say I'm in pretty good shape. So I don't have like a gut hanging out at all. So the wedge works really well for me. I can't speak to someone who's a little bit heavier, but essentially what it's going to do is going to create this nice flat surface area that kind of ramps down here too. So when the gun rotates a little bit, there's no hot spot here either. So overall, just wearing it around the house for a few hours and wearing it outside, I would say this holster is probably as close as you're going to get to the holster being invisible. I kind of forgot I was wearing it, to be honest with you. It's actually pretty incredible. When I first got it, the hardware doesn't come installed because they want you to kind of slide it in your pants without the hardware and kind of adjust it and then draw a line on where your belt is going to sit and whatnot. And that can definitely help get it set up straight out of the box. But ultimately, the orientation I went with was I put the largest, I forget what these are called, this little camming bar here that kind of rotates the gun in. So I put the larger one here, and then I have the holster sitting a little bit deeper in my pants, and then I have it canted a bit. So I believe this cant is all the way maxed out. And with it sitting like this, the gun kind of just goes away. Like you don't really think about it all that much. I felt like the cant was the biggest improvement for me. Just because, when you have a loaded magazine and when the gun is sitting more like this, the center of gravity of the gun is hanging a little bit more here, but when you cant the gun, it pulls the center of gravity back to more of a 12 o'clock position, so it doesn't feel like throughout the day the gun wants to be pulled down here because of all the loaded ammunition in the handle. So it kind of centers that, and I feel like it's super stable and it doesn't move at all throughout the day. The wedge, definitely, you have to play around with what fits for you, but once you find that spot and you lock in your hardware on that spot, it's really, really hard to compete with this thing. This holster came out 5 months ago, and just because of the lack of reviews I've seen online, that's why I wanted to make this video. But if you guys know Tenicor, you know they make insanely high quality products. I mean, the fit and finish on this thing is superb. You can just tell by holding it, and like the fittings and these clips, just absolutely incredible. And I really, really appreciate their approach to trying to model this side of the holster to the human body, because most holsters you're going to see online, this backside is just modeled a spitting image to the backside of your gun, which is great, you know. But you want this to be comfortable on your body, because we all know if it's not comfortable, you're not going to wear it, and if you don't wear it, you're not carrying your weapon with you. So a couple things about this holster is it's multi-light compatible. So I personally have probably what most people are going to be having on their Glock 19, Glock 45 is a TLR 7X. Just because it sits flush, doesn't protrude out at all. It's 500 lumens, so it's more than enough. It's not going to give you as much blinding capability as a bigger light. However, the compromise in size for me just is not worth it. One thing I notice a lot of people fail to talk about when it comes to weapon mounted lights is them being too bright. Now, I know some people are going to say, what do you mean too bright? You know, you want it to be as bright as possible. And yes, that's true, especially if you're outdoors and it's really dark. You know, the brighter the light, the more throw it's going to have. However, I think statistics show that most uses of firearms are actually in your own home, and they happen at nighttime when you're sleeping, right? So you have to remember, when you're asleep, your eyes are closed for multiple hours, and your pupils are super, I don't know if it's dilated or not dilated, but they're used to being in the dark because your eyes are closed, right? So if you have a 1,000 lumen light with, 25,000 candela, that's great, right? But if you have any mirrors or reflective surfaces, or hell, even if you have white paint on your walls, a lot of that light is going to be reflected back at you, and that's going to disorient you as well. So I feel like 500 lumens is kind of that sweet spot where it works great outdoors, but it shines really well in your home when it's very dark and your eyes aren't adjusted. So also, not to mention, the size is perfect for the 1945 platform. So that's why I decided to go with that. The multi-light holster, it will fit the TLR7 HLX. It will fit, so that's the little bit of a longer one. And a few others. You have to go to their website and see, but it's a whole long list. But what's also really cool about this holster is you have retention even if there's no light. So I believe the retention actually sits in right here on this little cutout for the takedown assembly. So it snaps in there. So if you had no light on the gun, reholstering it is a little finicky because it's got to line up a bit better. It tends to kind of want to like push in here. But once it's in, it will stay in and it won't move around. So that is kind of a nice benefit. Also, if you decide to switch to a different light platform, then you don't have to get a whole new holster. So overall, I would say it's a phenomenal holster. My only gripe with it isn't really so much of a gripe. It's more of just a trade-off, is going to be these clips, right? So I've heard that they are, online, I heard they were very, very stiff. I believe they're made out of spring steel. And man, they are. Just in the hour I spent kind of playing around with it and adjusting what works for me, I've already started to kind of develop some blisters on my fingertips from pulling them apart. But these have to be the strongest clips I have ever felt on a holster. And on top of that, they kind of have this cutback here with, I wouldn't say the metal sharp, but it's not smooth. So it really grabs into your belt and your clothes. So in order to take this thing off, you really got to pry back and pry back far just to make sure it's not touching your belt, because that friction is going to grab and it's not going to want to come off. Now, the trade-off of this is when it's on, it's really on. You never have to worry about your holster coming off your belt. I can't imagine what it would take for this thing to come off. I believe you could probably go skydiving with this thing on you and it's not going to come off. So it is just a trade-off, and I know they will loosen over time and kind of break in. It's not something that bugs me. It's just something that you have to, understand that it's going to take you probably a couple more seconds to put it on and take it off every single day. But in my opinion, I think that's a fair trade-off. These holsters are designed for people that want the maximum performance out of their gear, and that's what this is going to give you. It's really amazing that you don't see more holster companies kind of adopting this built-in wedge. It's honestly quite brilliant. I don't know if Tenicor has patented this, but when you are wearing this thing, it's just a completely different feeling. I have a whole new appreciation for the work they're doing over there, and really designing something that's going to kind of just blend into your body and just kind of fit so well into the little angles and whatnot. And you can really feel the design language when you're wearing this thing. So hats off to them. They make great products. I really, really recommend. So hopefully this video kind of helps guide you guys. Here's a good look at it one last time. It comes with 3 different sizes of this little bar here. You can also take it off completely if you're not a fan of those. It's got a medium height sweat guard, which I feel like is perfect. All the corners are kind of rounded and smoothed off. You can tell that there was a lot of work that went into this thing. There's no sharp edges, and I like this this matte kydex that they're using here, and on the inside you can see it's more glossy. It's a lot slicker, which helps kind of prevent wear and tear on your slide. That is one thing I will say. Tenicor, when you receive this holster in the mail, they send you a little pamphlet with it that says like no safe queens, and they just kind of let you know that because this holster fits so securely. I mean, you can see, look, I'm trying to move the gun back and forth. I mean, there is zero play in this thing at all. You're gonna get slide wear, and I think yeah, while the guns look pretty, when there's no kind of marks on them and whatnot, I think if you're the kind of person that's worried about your firearm getting little scuffs and the slide finish wearing off over time, you probably need to reevaluate why you're carrying in the first place. I understand if it's like a really expensive firearm or it's something you just use at the range, but that's probably not what you want to carry anyways. This is just a Glock 45. So, this is a tool. Of course, I've done a couple things to it, nothing too special, just like some sights and a flashlight and cut back strap here. But I mean, other than that, it's bone stock. So yeah, phenomenal holster. If you guys are thinking about picking one up, definitely do it. You guys will be very satisfied with your purchase. Tenicor, if you're watching this, I appreciate what you guys do. You guys knocked it out of the park on this one, and keep up the good work. You just got yourself another lifelong customer. Peace.